This is Bet to the Future, March 26th, 2025. I am Stephen Murray, nephew Dave alongside in our Ocean View studios. I'm broadcasting live from our Chick Beach studios and the lovely Virginia Beach, Virginia, the United States of America. This is your sports wagering broadcast brought to you by the Deep End Broadcasting Network, looking at everything in the world of futures, sports, wagering. Nephew Dave, how are you?
Good evening, sir. Doing well. Good to be back.
Good to be back. Yep. How's everything on your end? Pretty good?
Oh, everything's going well.
All right. Quite dandy over here as well. All right, Dave, we got a lot of futures to go over. I mean, we got March Madness. We got Major League Baseball. Probably got some hockey we can look at as well. We'll take a little bit of a look at soccer. We got about 45 minutes to do it all. So let's get right to it. Let's start because I think we can go a bunch of different directions with baseball. So let's get the basketball out of the way first. With the March Madness, let's take a quick look at some of the lines that we have as far as winning the regions and then winning the whole national championship. And you can still parlay the regions together. So you can still pick a winner, whoever's going to cut down the nets in the East, whoever's going to cut down the nets in the West, and see if we can get a good number on maybe a 3 or 4 game parlay, whatever our final four essentially is going to be. So, Dave, if we look at it right now, let's start in the South region with 4 teams remaining. Let me say this: did anything really surprise you in the first couple of rounds of play, Dave? It was pretty chalky. A lot of the favorites won. So, does that surprise you at all at this point?
Yeah, Steve, that was going to be the point I was getting to is, we're not having as many Cinderella runs as we may have seen, and not as many upsets really either. So I'm not sure what to think about that. I mean, we've still had some good games, definitely some entertaining ones. But like you said, Steve, it's been the favorites, and there's just something about the lack of the underdog, that kind of brings some excitement to that. Really good matchups coming up this weekend. So still some excitement there in the tournament, Steve. But the one thing that stood out to me is, the lack of the underdogs, really, so to speak.
I'm wondering if we can't get some of that now with just higher seed underdogs. You got like a team like Michigan and even Ole Miss, as we'll talk about the South region now, where, I don't think anyone's really taking them seriously at all to win any sort of a national championship. Ole Miss and Michigan, just to win the next 2 games, are both 7-1. Obviously, Auburn's the cream of the crop. They have much older players as well. So they have almost a minute against boys scenario. And then you got Michigan State. Obviously, Izzo gets the most out of his players maybe than any coach. But they're not known to shoot very well at all. So if that goes away, then what happens? So some question marks, I think, still to be answered here in the South region. And I want to kind of make a case for Michigan State, at least, because I think they can have the physical toughness to stand up to Auburn. But I don't know. I could see both of these underdogs still winning in a type of way. Again, if Michigan State just can't hit anything from 3, and as good as Ole Miss is from shooting the 3-point basket, then they can definitely get on fire and ride that momentum at least into the round of 8. And there you go. That knocks out Michigan State. And then Michigan, I mean, their big man looks like he's as good a shape as any other team's big man down low. Golden, is that his name? I think. Yeah, Golden. Yes, so, and he's got another guy to help him out as well. So even with Auburn's size, Maybe they're beating some young, feisty little kids ready to try to take them out. So this bracket has gotten to be a little bit tougher to me. I want to say that it's going to be a little chalkier. I think Auburn is ripe for an upset by somebody, perhaps, just because of the way that they finished down the stretch in the regular season. And if it's going to be someone like that, then I got to think it's going to be someone with the toughness of Michigan State. Dave, I'm not going to be shocked if anyone makes it out of this bracket. So what do you think in the South yourself?
Yeah, Steve. I mean, I agree with you. I think it may come down to Michigan State's 3-ball. That's something that I feel like, is something they feel that has kind of compelled them. Because, when they're knocking them down, man, they're lights out. But, Steve, you got Auburn is at a minus 135 over here for me. I don't know. It's bet to the future. You can have Auburn in a play, but I think if you're going to look for some value, I like Michigan State to win the South. But if we're going to go with a longer shot here, give it to Michigan, and maybe that is the one underdog that may make it out of here. Because I myself didn't think much of Michigan coming into the tournament. I was kind of wrong, and I didn't think they would be here at this point. But they've been proving me and everybody else wrong, and they've looked pretty good in those games doing it. So it's 7-1. Michigan is somebody I would definitely keep an eye on. So give me either Michigan team, Steve.
And, I mean, who else better than to beat Michigan State than their rival Michigan, right?
Exactly.
At the end of the day. So let's just, for the fun of it, let's just see what kind of number we can get, Dave. Let's take Michigan and throw them in on a ticket and just see what we get with a big number at the end of the day. And know that whatever number that we end up with here, about half of this result will be if we had Michigan State instead of Michigan. So let's flip it over to the West and see if we have any interest here. Florida plays Maryland. Texas Tech plays Arkansas. That Texas Tech-Arkansas game seems like if there are two teams that I still really don't know that much about in the tournament, it's these two teams. I feel like it's everyone else I can kind of get somewhat of a feel for the most part. But Texas Tech and Arkansas, and the fact that they're just meeting up against each other, and I did have Arkansas last round. So they did do me right in that game against St. John's. So if anything, I'm kind of tempted almost to try to ride with them and Calipari again. Plus 950 for them. Maryland's plus 460. Texas Tech plus 270. And Florida's at minus 125. Now, Maryland's a great story. Queen's a big kid. He can play. He's a freshman. He's tough. But I'm wondering if Florida just doesn't have the experience and the bigs as well just to counteract that. Again, I talked about it last show. If you have a big man or two, then that's going to be what you need to propel yourself through this tournament at the end of the day. And Florida has a couple of those guys themselves. So they're not lacking that. They could out-rebound anyone in the country just about, especially offensively, and give themselves second chance points. I think at the end of the day, Florida has too much firepower for Maryland. So I'm going to just kind of eliminate Maryland off the bat. And then if I think Florida's good enough to beat Maryland, Maryland may be the second best team amongst the bunch of the other ones as well. So I'll take Florida to beat anyone else. I'll go a little chalkier here. You feel like they just deserve to be in the Final Four after everything that they've done. Yeah, I want to take a big price with someone like an Arkansas, but I'll go chalky here with someone like Florida. So who do you like in the West?
Yeah, Steve, I have Florida in one of my brackets going all the way. Maybe even two of them. I like Florida in this tournament. Now, I will say this. If we're going to look for some value, should Maryland be able to get past Florida, watch out. I think they could surprise you and go very, very deep. Maybe even get to the championship game and compete to win that game. They score pretty well. they usually find themselves in some higher scoring games from what I've seen out of them anyway. So, Steve, I like Florida. I've been on them from the start. But if we're going to take something here other than Florida, I like Maryland if they can get past this weekend.
Okay, Dave, is it worth a ticket then right now to take Michigan and Maryland? $10 wins you $369.20.
Yeah, I don't see why not. I mean, that's not a half bad return for a $10 bill there.
And $5 wins you
$180. It's March Madness.
$5 wins you 184. I think for this, the purpose of this, let's go ahead and just lock it in. $7.50 wins us 275. So I know these aren't going to be my primary plays, but this is a nice little insurance policy maybe to have around for $275 at the end of the day. So I went ahead and fired that ticket. Right. Maryland and Florida. I'm sorry, Maryland and Michigan. All right, to cut down the nets in the West and South region, respectively. Okay, let's go ahead and plug in Michigan and Florida on our ticket. And right now, that's at plus 1180. Let's see if we can add to that. We'll go to the East, which I think is probably a little bit more predictable. Duke minus 180 than the other two. Alabama plus 340. Arizona 7-1. And BYU plus 950. Maybe not. Maybe Florida is the, like you said, Dave, if Florida gets by Maryland, then I think they win that next game for sure. So, is this a tougher bracket to you, the East, or is this a Duke cakewalk?
I don't think it's a Duke cakewalk, but they are good enough, certainly, to go all the way. I think there's kind of a feel around that team. But I don't think Alabama's just going to give it to them, should that be a matchup. I kind of like Alabama to give them a game 4-1 over here. I'm going to go with Alabama.
Yeah, you know what? And Duke's not tested either. So for the fun of things, let's throw in Alabama. And right now we have Michigan, Florida, and Alabama. And if you put down $10, you're going to get $481. $25 went to $1,202 right now on that trio of plays. So Duke minus 180, Alabama plus 340, Arizona 7-1, BYU plus 950. If we take out Alabama and throw in Duke, right now we are looking at almost 20-1 for Michigan, Florida, and Duke, which that's not half bad, to be honest. If you get Duke and Florida there, you just need Michigan to get there to make it 20-1. So interesting. I'll leave Alabama in for the sake of this exercise right here. And in the Midwest, we have Houston, Tennessee, Kentucky, and Purdue. This is as tough as it gets for anyone. But I'll say this. Kentucky, all right, they have some bigs. They've beaten Tennessee twice, and they have just the pedigree in their blood at the end of the day. I think Houston gets by Purdue. I think they do. That's a pseudo Purdue home game in Indianapolis. So they're going to be a lot of, and it's in Lucas Oil Stadium. So they're packing it to the gills, probably with Purdue fans. That's a tough game for Houston just because of that home court advantage that Purdue's going to have. And then what a game, Tennessee and Kentucky, maybe the best game on the board in the Sweet 16 to me. I think Kentucky can get by Tennessee. And honestly, Kentucky's going to have the goods to get by either Houston or Purdue. So I'll go ahead and add Kentucky as the long shot here, plus 650. They're a team I've been kind of looking at now for a good portion of the season, trying to find reasons not to bet them because I got sideswiped in a tournament last year by them. In fact, I would have had a nice payday because I had everyone kind of lined up in the end that I bet except for Kentucky, who got bounced early. So they cost me a big payday last season. They've been on my radar here since December. I've been paying attention to them. And I'll probably watch more Kentucky games than I have of any other college basketball team, to tell you the truth. but I've seen plenty of Tennessee games as well. Kentucky just has the dogs, I think, to hang with basically anybody at the end of the day. So at plus 650, I'll take a shot with them to kind of skate on through. Houston does look better and better to me every time I see them. Tennessee can make it there as well. But just for the price alone, give me Kentucky. What do you have kind of slated here, Dave?
Yeah, Steve, this is a tough one. When I look at it, I like either Tennessee or Kentucky. You mentioned Houston there, and that's a good team. It's certainly going to be a task to get past them. But, this is a tougher bracket here. And I like Tennessee or Kentucky, and I'm not real sure which one I like more. But if I'm going to go against the grain, I think Tennessee maybe surprises some people.
I'm going to have them on a ticket somewhere as well. I'm going to have a few different combinations here. Just hope I hit one of them. But the ticket that we'll fill out now with Michigan, Florida, Alabama, and Kentucky, $10 wins you $2,172, Dave. So I'll go ahead and fire that in for now. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
I'll also delete Alabama. I'll back it off, and I'll get back to Duke. And I'll plug them in on the same plays. And then what I'll also have to do is go back and knock Michigan out and in favor of someone else as well. So let's see here. Adding Duke with Michigan, Florida, and Kentucky. $10 now wins you 1,041. So I'll put $12 on it to win 1,250. How about that?
There you go. I like it.
All right, so a little bit of fun. That's Bet to the Future, building some tickets from scratch. Now for the national champion, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And then also game-wise as well. Let me just get back on that. So if you like Alabama and you like Florida, don't be afraid to use your profit boost a little bit. Maybe move the lines a little bit. Florida's bound to beat Maryland by 14 points, Dave,
Right.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but if things start to go their way, it can. I think Alabama has a chance to blow out BYU, right? In a way. So Alabama over BYU by 10 points. You'll get a nice little plus 160, 170. Something like that, maybe. Don't be afraid to parlay a couple of those together as well in terms of trying to raise yourself monetarily here. For the national champion, Duke's at plus 220, Florida plus 440, Auburn plus 470, Houston plus 550, Alabama 16-1, Tennessee 17-1, Texas Tech 18-1, Michigan State 26-1, Maryland 32-1, Arizona 43-1, Kentucky 60-1, Purdue 70-1, Ole Miss 75-1, BYU 75-1, Michigan 90-1, and Arkansas 110-1. Dave, give me a piece of Michigan and give me a piece of Kentucky at those numbers.
Absolutely. My two picks here for my favorite would be Florida at plus 350. But Steve, I'm going to stick to my guns here too with the Maryland at 35-1 as well. Again, it's a big test this weekend, but I think if they can get past it, the way they score, will at least keep them in some games. So 35-1 for them, loving that. And then my favorite, Florida plus 350.
The other thing, guys, if you take one of these bigger teams here, like a Kentucky, like an Ole Miss, like a Maryland, you're going to find yourself in a position to where if they get to the Final Four and say that they get like an early lead, then you can come back on the favorite on the and probably right around even money, and you can get your big time middles or something like that, or monetize, hedge, whatever word you want to use. So for example, if you have Kentucky at 60-1, and they make it to the Final Four and they play Duke in that first game, You hope Kentucky gets out to like an 8-2 lead or something like that. 10-2 lead, 12-4, 12-6, because you'll be able to take Duke at about an even point spread, probably. Maybe Duke will still be -1, but maybe you can come back on a Duke money line at that point and lay it back on Duke, and that way you have both sides covered. And you can put $1,000 on Duke at that point, that even money, and you can, if you lose that Kentucky bet, if you have $100 down on them, then either you're winning 900 or 5,000, and that's just a good way to try to do things at the end of the day as well. All right, Dave. Any other thoughts on college basketball?
No, should be an exciting weekend, I think.
All right, Major League Baseball. Here we go. And let's start with something a little different. Let's see here. I'm trying to find some fun ones we can look at. I mean, there's odds to make the playoffs. You can parlay together. You can parlay what seeds teams are going to be. I don't know if any of that interests me right now. We can pick a home run leader if we want to do that. Do you have any favorites for a home run leader, Dave, or any underdogs?
Steve, not at the moment, to be honest with you.
Someone like Mike Trout's 35-1 if he can stay healthy. Let's see. Marcell Ozuna's 55-1. He had a great year for the Braves last year. And a lot of this has to do with injuries as well.
Right.
You get guys hurt, then you're in trouble. Same thing with strikeouts. You got pitchers to record 200, 250, and 275 strikeouts. I don't think I want anything to do with anything like that. You have stolen bases. We can bet on, 30 or more stolen bases, which, that's an interesting one kind of in a way. I don't like Gunnar Henderson, your guy's 5 plus 500 to get 30 stolen bases. So that'd be an interesting. Yeah, that'd be an interesting little one. And then let's see, they have individual batter props as well. I think we'll pass on all of that. I was looking for, and you might have, are you on DraftKings, Dave?
Yep.
See if you can find the odds for teams to have the best record in April, teams to have the best record in May, stuff like that. So while you peruse that, I'll take a look at the divisions, and we'll pull up the AL East. That's one we have a lot of controversy with now that the Red Sox are much improved. We have the Yankees at plus 155, Red Sox plus 250. Dave liked his Orioles at 3-1. The Rays are plus 850. The Blue Jays are 10-1. And the thing I'll say about that, especially if you like someone like the Blue Jays, I mean, they're bound to fall behind a couple of these teams right off the bat. You're going to get a better number on some of these teams. Like even the Orioles, if they lose 3 in a row, the Red Sox sweep the Rangers. The Yankees sweep their opponent coming out of the gate, which is Milwaukee, right? Who's Baltimore play, Dave? First?
We got the Blue Jays.
The Blue Jays, right. Okay.
In Toronto.
So either of those teams, if they stumble out of the gate, they could very easily find themselves with a much better number than the Yankees or the Red Sox, as they will drop in their favorite status. The Twins plus 210 for the Central, the Tigers plus 230, Guardians plus 290, Royals 3 plus 310, and the White Sox are 260-1. Wow. So the White Sox really make these other teams' odds that much more inflated. Dave Dograndi says it best on our football show. These aren't like true horse racing odds if this is a horse race. So you're kind of getting screwed a little bit. I think you can just find better numbers on anyone that you're kind of looking for out of the gate. So Houston plus 170, Rangers plus 190 in the AL West, Seattle plus 210, Angels 20-1. That might be one that's interesting right out of the gate, to be honest. When you're thinking of teams coming out of nowhere to contend, the Angels fit that type of profile, and no one's really saying anything about them. They have a good manager, Ron Washington. Heard an interview with him the other day. So it sounds like they have some good talent that is unknown that may be able to turn the corner a little bit. And in a division that I'm going to consider winnable, actually, the AL West. Who knows, right? You can almost throw the A's in that same mold. They have good young talent, too. 27-1 for them. So, Dave, your thoughts on the American League? I'm just going to sit around and maybe look for a better number overall. But what will you be looking for out of the gate?
Let's see here. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Let me pull this tab up now that I've lost it. It's going to be interesting here, Steve, in these divisions. The Cubs favored to win theirs. I'm not so sure. I think I like the Brewers maybe a little bit more there coming out of the gate. I'm going to tell you right now, I think as an O's fan, watch out for the Red Sox. That team much improved, and I think they are now capable of contending for that division. So that's definitely somebody I wouldn't be afraid to include in some parlays for sure. But that's going to be a tough division, and I think it's going to come right down to the end. If anything, it's maybe by a couple of games. But I don't think you're going to see a blowout there. So we'll see what the O's do tomorrow against the Blue Jays. The NL East, Steve, I think I like your Mets this year for that division, plus 240. I just think something's a little bit different maybe this year, and I think that you guys will be able to score some runs. So you got the Braves and the Phillies there. It's going to be tough. So I think that one gets interesting this year as well. But give me the Mets. You're going to get a good number on them. AL West, Steve, that's anybody's ball game right now. The one team that didn't wow me in the offseason was Seattle. I don't think they did much at all. They have to contend with teams like the Astros and the Rangers. That's going to be tough when you're not really making moves one way or the other. So I don't like them for that. So that's something I will say. Probably going to be Houston, I think. So we'll see what happens there. The AL Central, I'm going to go with Cleveland, I think, Steve. That one should be tough, too, between the Royals and the Twins. Twins are the ones to knock down in that division for sure. But something tells me Cleveland is going to give them a run for their money there in that division. And then in the West, could it really be anybody but the Dodgers? I don't really see anybody else doing anything with the star power that they have. So probably best to leave them out of whatever you're doing. But the Dodgers win that division.
The Dodgers are minus 800. Padres 11-1. Diamondbacks 12-1. Giants 42-1. Rockies 50-1. The Cardinals are plus 950. Pirates are plus 850. The Reds are plus 440. The Brewers are plus 270. The Cubs are at plus 115. Let's see here. I'm going to go ahead and I'll throw a couple teams in the NL East. Let's talk about that. I didn't mention those odds. Plus 125 for the Braves. Phillies plus 195. Mets plus 220. Plus 8,000 for the Nationals. Plus 330 for the Marlins. Plus 33,000 for them. So 330 to 1 odds. Just too bunched up for me for the Braves, Phillies, and Mets to tie up money this time of the year. But here's what I'll do, Dave. I'm going to come up with this big time round robin here. And let's throw in Kentucky for the national championship. I'm going to throw in the Angels to win the West at 20-1. So you know this ticket's cooking already. And I'll throw in the Red Sox as somewhat of a ringer play to win the AL East as well at plus 250. All right. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead and move on out of this in a second. Do you have the best record for April, Dave? Did you find that?
Yes, I did.
All right. What are your odds on that?
So I don't have the record. I have wins. Hold on.
Most wins in April, and it should be an odds payout, correct?
Yeah, this thing is. Let me see where that tab was. I did have it up, and then we started talking about the divisions. Here we go. Start of the season. So I have April wins, over under, wins combined, wins by each team, and that's about all I have for April.
Oh, okay. All right. So go over some examples of each, just so I know what they're talking about.
All right. So
April. And I'll ask you a couple of questions.
All right. April wins by each team would be Baltimore, Toronto, and Texas, all to record 15 plus wins by the end of April. So teams grouped together like that.
Oh, okay. And that's like an odds payout. Okay. What else do you got? That's kind of interesting and fun.
April wins combined. So I would have stuff like the Atlanta Braves, the Mets, and the Brewers all to combine for 55 plus wins by the end of April. Yes would be 3-1. No would be minus 390.
Okay.
So stuff like that with Baltimore, Red Sox, and the Rangers combined for 55. Yes would be 4 plus 425. And then you have each team's over under for wins in April.
So there are a lot of short-term
or by the end of April.
If you want short-term satisfaction for Major League Baseball, that's a good way to get it. Is basically the moral of that story. Is you can bet things just for April, just for May, reboot yourself, go back to June, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All right.
So like Baltimore regular season wins by the end of April over 16 and a half is, stuff like that. It's plus 100.
Okay. Let's flip it to soccer real quick. It's basically over. Liverpool is your minus 6,000 favorite. Arsenal for second or is in second at plus 2,300, so 23-1 for them to come back and win the EPL. Nottingham Forest in third, great season for them, 210-1. So you need to find a better market to play in. And let's see, the finish in the top two, that's not going to be one of them, as Arsenal's minus 1,100 favorite to do that. Let's see. Top half finish, maybe a little bit more fun you can have there, as you have teams like Tottenham not in the top 10 who are plus 850 to get there if somehow they can go on a run. Brentford's plus 250. Crystal Palace, who's been hot for us, plus 380. So there's some of that you can try to jump into. And then let's see, top 6 and top 4 as well. You can try to get maybe Aston Villa still to get in the top 6 at plus 550. Basically, look at the schedules. There's just a handful of games left to play. So you can probably find a path with someone on some plus money somewhere along the line. Let's see. Look at this, Dave. Man City right now is paying 11-1 to get relegated because of some penalties. Yeah, how about that? Leicester minus 6,000, Ipswich minus 1,500, the Wolves 25-1 to get relegated. They've really been able to save themselves. Everton and West Ham good enough to stay up. They're 100-1. But your third shot right now is Southampton's getting relegated. That's the deal. So they're locked in. Leicester likely is, and then Ipswich a minus 1,500. So really it comes down to a points reduction decision on Man City. You know what? If you want to get risky and you think they might get their full disciplinary points taken away, then 11-1 is a nice little payout.
That is interesting.
Might be worth $20 anyway to win a couple hundred at the end of the day. All right, so enough of that, and let's go ahead and turn it to the NHL. In fact, let's do NBA real quick. See if there's anything good on the divisions. We won't look at conference or the NBA championship. I mean, we'll let that reboot for the playoffs. There's no sense in taking someone like the Celtics now with Tatum hurt. Cleveland, as good as they've been, they don't look so good. Oklahoma City does look like the class of the competition. But let's see if there's any good divisional numbers out there right now. Golden State has a chance still to win that division, plus 550 for them. Clippers are 8-1. These teams are, let's see. Let me get the standings up real quick.
Yeah, it must be close between Atlanta and Orlando.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see exactly where we got these guys by the division. I'll get to that in 1 second, Dave. But the Lakers are 2.5 above Golden State. Clippers, they're ahead of them by 3. And basically, there's either 9 to 12 games left to play. And Golden State and the Clippers both have 2 extra games at least than the Lakers. So you do have some good numbers there, Dave. Do we dare maybe take someone like Golden State or the Clippers right now? The Clippers actually seem like they're the hot hand out of all these teams coming down the stretch. So that's interesting. Golden State or the Clippers
with Golden State now, right?
Yeah, and they didn't look so hot in Miami in his return last night. And Steph's hurt a little bit as well.
Okay.
I'll tell you what, for the sake of this exercise, and let's see if we can get one on the books real quick. Let's take the Clippers to win the Pacific Division at 8-1. So we'll throw that onto this ticket. And you're right, Dave. Hawks minus 120, Orlando minus 110, the Heat 80-1 to win that. The Heat are, they're within striking distance. They are 4 games back of Atlanta, 3.5 back of Orlando right now.
I got them
None
at
of these teams exactly to win the division.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, nice. Good number there. Shop around. And then the only other one I see is Houston and Memphis. And Houston's a declarative favorite over Memphis, but it's only 2.5 games, Dave. They can't pass them.
Plus 850 for the Grizzlies.
Yeah, so they can't pass them down the stretch. Let's go ahead and throw the Clippers and Memphis on this ticket as well to make this a super round robin. This is great. So we have the Angels to win the West, Kentucky to win the national championship, the Red Sox to win the AL East, the Clippers to win the Pacific Division, and the Memphis to win the Southwest Division. 10 cents wins you $34,000. $1 wins you $342,000. So you can't tell me that those 5 things can't happen. You know what I'm saying? For $1 to win $342,000, the Angels to win the AL West, Kentucky to win the national championship, Boston Red Sox to win the East, Clippers to win the Pacific, and the Memphis Grizzlies to win the Southwest. Let's see if we can find one in hockey that suits our needs a little bit. And do we want to look at divisions? Not necessarily. I don't think I feel like I'm not worried about divisions, and it is almost like the NBA because these guys probably aren't worried about divisions too much. Dallas is plus 380 against Winnipeg, who's minus 550. The Knights minus 470. The Kings 5-1. And then the Florida Panthers minus 115. Toronto plus 180. Plus 370 for the Lightning. And the Senators are 30-1. I think what we do at this point is we just look at the conference champion And I like what you sent me, Dave. That sends. I like the path for the Capitals. It looks like the other half of that bracket's a lot tougher in the East to me. So let's go ahead and throw our Capitals on this crazy ticket. I got them now at plus 460. What do you see for the Caps to win the East?
5-1.
Okay, you're getting better than me. So I will do this. I'll round robin again. The Angels, Kentucky, the Red Sox, and those are division winners for baseball. Division winners for the Clippers, the Grizzlies, and the Capitals to win the Eastern Conference. I'm going to put down
That's a fun ticket.
50 cents a leg. And $21 pays almost $2 million. That $2 million at the end of the day. If we can hit 3 of these 4, we will average out at about $1,200 if we get 3 of the 6. That is. So we had 6 different plays. If we can get 3 of them, we'll get $1,200 on the average. But you got to remember the Kentucky and the Angels number are wastelanded. So you need at least one of these. Put it this way: if Kentucky wins it, this is gonna, without anybody else winning, we're gonna be offered a tremendous cash out. In fact, if you do this kind of a ticket, it's probably smart to do 2 duplicate tickets. That way you can cash one out and not have to worry about, should I cash out or should I not? You know, you're getting a financial bind in August, and all you need left is 2 baseball teams to win their division, and it's a little dicey. Okay, you can cash out comfortably on 1 ticket, take the stress off, take whatever nice little $20,000 offer they're giving you, knowing that that was your plan from the get-go, and that you still have another backup ticket to fall back on to win the whole grand prize. Make sense?
That's a good angle there, Steve. I like that's a fun ticket. Send me that if you don't mind when we get done.
All right. Yeah, sure. I'll take a picture with it right now. I think we are done, Dave. Do you got anything else you want to add future-wise that you might be looking at right now?
No, Steve. I think there's kind of any number of combinations you can do NHL-wise. I like maybe Tampa to come back and win that division. They had a nice convincing win over Pittsburgh last night. So you're still getting a decent number on that. So if you want to look into divisions, I think it would be somebody like them. And maybe if you want to pair them like a Tampa Bay Lightning, Memphis Grizzlies type ticket, I certainly wouldn't be afraid to throw a little bit of that at the end of the season. But a lot of combinations here in the NHL, Steve. We have a pretty good playoffs coming up, being that playoff picture that we saw. I'm excited for that tournament.
All right, good stuff. All right, Dave, we'll go ahead and get on out of here for Bet to the Future. We have opening day baseball tomorrow. We're supposed to do a What the Puck is Going On as well. You'll be at the bar. So you want to just bag it for the week, considering it's opening day baseball?
Yeah, probably. I was going to ask how you wanted to go about that.
Okay, so we'll bag What the Puck is Going On. We'll come back next Monday for that, and then figure we're full on through the playoffs after that. We will have Inquisition Unknown ? Starting again next week. There's a new episode of Sizzling up on the Deep End Broadcasting YouTube right now, or the website deependbroadcasting.com. And soccer's about out of it. We'll get the Friday soccer paycheck to reemerge at some point, Dave. At some point they'll reemerge.
Yeah, we need the paycheck, man. Come on, don't keep us waiting.
Maybe we'll do it for the weekend for good old fashioned sake here. Okay, Dave. Thanks for joining. Good stuff tonight here on Bet to the Future. You like it?
Yes, sir. Love it.
All right, I will send you that ticket. Let me cue up our futuristic sounds. What do you think of the futuristic music, Dave?
That's getting better every time, Steve.
All right, this is Bet to the Future on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. For Nephew Dave, I am Stephen Murray. Good luck on all your future tickets, and we will see you on the other side. Beam us up.